Hello and welcome to another B'nai Jacob interview. I'm with another dear friend, Marsha Albert. Can't express truly the sentiment of Lador Vador. I was blessed to know your parents of blessed memory, you of course, and now your children. Marsha, welcome. Tell us a little bit about your first memories at B'nai Jacob Synagogue.
Okay. It's sort of funny because I was born in Charleston, so I was thinking I don't have a memory of it, but I'm sure that my father named me in the old synagogue. So that's how far back I
On
got.
Court and Lee Street.
Yes, and I went to Sunday school there for many years until, what was the year this was?
I think this building was dedicated in 1948.
48?
And I think
Okay.
I think it actually started in 49.
Okay, so I was thinking that that's probably what it was. But yeah, my parents came here in 1935 as newlyweds on the Greyhound bus from Pittsburgh. And the first thing they probably did was go to the synagogue, the old synagogue, and that became their family. The sort of the older couples, a little bit older than they were in their 20s, and took them in. And I knew all my parents' friends as aunt and uncle, because that was really family. And the synagogue was always a part of our life, a huge part.
And your dad, of course, he led services beautifully for many years when I was here. He took such pride in the synagogue and the services, the minyan.
Well, my mother said his mistress was the synagogue. So that was his second home. And my brother and I, of course, he was born here too. Sunday school was a big deal when we could go to Sunday school, and that was in the old synagogue. So we lived in the East End, and there was probably one of the fathers had a car. So on Sunday mornings, my friend Dina's father, Mr. Grablow, piled everyone in and took us down to Lee Street to the synagogue, and we loved Sunday school. In fact, I don't know if my brother's in that Sunday school picture. I think he may have been sick that day, but that big picture that Steve Max talked about when he was the cute little kid in the front. Well, I'm there. I'm in that picture.
Oh, wow.
The Sunday school was huge, and it was such a big deal to go to Sunday school. And then afterwards, by that time, my dad had a store in the corner of Lee and Summers, a drugstore, and we would walk up there, and it was Sunday, and he was open, and all my friends would get free bubble gum. And then somebody, I guess, picked us up, probably Mr. Grablow again, and took us back to the East End.
Oh, wow. You're one of our, for me, very blessed individuals that came back to Charleston.
Right.
You came back how many years ago?
3 years.
What brought you back?
Community, number one. I really, after my husband passed away, I just didn't feel like I had a community in Florida. And then luckily, both of my sons were here, and they were a little worried, I think, that I was going to impose on them. But I came back and really found my own place here again.
One of the things I appreciate about you, and I know that it's part of the specialness, I guess, of our community. I remember one of our conversations many years ago was how, unfortunately, the kids at the temple and synagogue didn't always know each other. But now there seems to be such a warmth, a relationship. You and so many others feel comfortable both at the temple, synagogue, and it's a good thing about our community now.
Well, I felt like I wanted to support both the temple and the synagogue. And once I left Charleston, Reformed Judaism spoke to me more. And then, of course, my buddies here go to temple. But when I walk in the synagogue, though, it's a flood of memories. You know, have to brag, my son David did all the stained glass, and both of my boys are dedicated to synagogue. I don't think they like the idea that I turned reform on them. I didn't convert, but I don't know that they like that idea.
We love the fact that you're involved in both, and it's funny you said your sons, they were both there at services yesterday.
Yeah.
And David just did a tour of the stained glass windows, which not just members of the Jewish community, not just guests far and wide, but people in our community all come and just rave about David and David's work and Michael's work here in terms of what he does for our state. So thank you for both of them.
I'm very proud of both of them. You know, I miss Leslie, and if anybody looks at the archives, they can see that that my daughter Leslie basically had the first so-called bas mitzvah.
Bat mitzvah. That's right.
The story is she just wouldn't quit Hebrew school, and she went to a Jewish camp, and all her friends were having bas mitzvahs, and she kept, I would say, really nagging the Rabbi Cooper, until he finally gave in, and he invented.
Well, I think he called it a bat Torah.
Yeah, he called it a bat Torah, and he invented this and then that set the precedent for the girls to come. But she hocked him, you know, till he did it.
Well, good for her. And many years later, people did the same to me, and I'm very pleased that now men and women participate equally and fully here at B'nai Jacob Synagogue.
Right.
I'm so glad that you're back in Charleston. What does B'nai Jacob mean to you?
Well, as I said, it's my spiritual home, and my friends that grew up here, I've lost a lot of them, but the ones that we still get together, and some are coming back for the reunion, which I'm thrilled about. We always say we grew up in the synagogue, and sometimes to other people, it's like, you know, what, were you hostage in the synagogue or something? No, I mean, I went to Canal Grade School. We came here every day after school for Hebrew school. Sundays we were here. I think Saturdays we walked here. It was especially after this building was built. This synagogue was such a tribute to Judaism in Charleston and to what could be accomplished. I think it was before the temple built their new building. So it was just meant a lot, I think, to everyone that grew up here. I hear that from all my friends, that their memories are here. I was probably the worst Hebrew student. Cantarise did not like the fact that, you know, the girls giggled and came for the socialization. And in fact, one time, I'll admit it, I got a P with a circle around it, meaning poor, on my Hebrew school grade.
Really?
Yes. But the socialization here was something that Rabbi Cooper and Cantarise really promoted. I mean, the downstairs, which is the youth activities now.
Yeah, the Ruth and the Maurice Bernstein Activity Center.
Yeah, we had a pool table and ping pong, and I think Rabbi Cooper even promoted the parties here with kissing games. Yeah, and
whatever gets the kids here.
Yes. I don't think it went any further than that. Yet we had, you know, we were here for the basketball tournaments. They had statewide Jewish basketball tournaments here, and it was always fun. The memories just flood me, as I say. We were bas mitzvah, and every year there was a big, they didn't call it bas mitzvah, confirmation, and we all loved Mr. Neerman, our teacher, and we had a group confirmation with a party at the Women's Club.
Which is still here?
Yes, which is still across the street. And just for people that haven't been here in a long time, the building looks great. Looks terrific. Come back.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
You say it as an intimate relationship you had with the synagogue, and it felt warm, it felt like home. And that's really what we're trying to do for our 125th. It's an opportunity to reconnect with what has been a home to so many members of our community. So we hope you'll join Marsha, myself, as we count down to the 125th. It's going to take place September 27th through the 29th. We'll have Friday night dinners at various homes. We'll have Saturday morning a wonderful service where you'll see the merging of both tradition and modernity in our new Saturday morning format, followed by a wonderful Shabbat Kiddush, a banquet which will take place at the Marriott. Sunday morning we'll have brunch. We'll have some dedications of our new facilities that we've added since in the last year or so. And also Sunday evening, you mentioned the Women's Club, will be bringing home the holiday for all of us, and hopefully everybody will join and bring in Rosh Hashanah with us for this year. Stay with us for a special dinner at the Women's Club on Sunday evening, and stay for the high holidays here in Charleston, West Virginia. On behalf of Marsha, and I thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure.
And I wish you all a good morning, good afternoon, and a good evening.